Everyone needs a website. Everyone needs a website with a clear purpose, a professional presentation, your domain name, utilizing social media and websites and contents. Let's talk about each one of these in a bit more detail. So a clear purpose. Your portfolio website needs to be very clear about the purpose. What is the purpose of the site? And think about that as you're creating it. Think about that now when you're developing your portfolio. What is the purpose of it? That purpose needs to be and should be immediately clear to the visitor. So not only is that purpose clear to you, it should be clear to the people looking at your portfolio. Do not include personal items. So within that clear purpose, you have to be cautious and include only items that are aimed or will help fulfill that purpose. So items like pictures of your cat do not belong in your portfolio. Pictures of your trip, not a piece for your portfolio. Be careful of what links you put in your portfolio as well. If, for example, you're using Facebook, you're using it in a very personal, unprofessional way, do not link to your Facebook account. If you're using Facebook in a professional way to showcase your work, your skill sets, then absolutely do that. So be cautious and know what that clear purpose is for your portfolio. Your portfolio needs to have a professional presentation. The emphasis really needs to be on your work. And as far as the professionalism, that kind of goes hand in hand with the navigation and the usability, things that are taught in interface design. So it should take your audience to your work, but with as few clicks as possible. Your domain name, you all have a domain name. So that's exactly what you want. You want to have a professional domain name and to choose it with some care. And that's why your instructors were adamant about what you are choosing for your domain name. That's a very important piece. Social media and other websites. So don't ever put anything on the web that you would not want a potential employer to see or read. We know, and hopefully you do, nothing on the web is truly private. So don't go on some sort of rampage about your coworker or vent the anger you have towards another employer or your employee. Be careful of what you post on any site. Potential employers are likely to search for your name online, and I know that happens. I know that when applicants come in, first thing many people will do, Google their name. What pops up? What am I going to learn about this person? As far as content, you need to ask yourself, what should be on my site? So base your content decisions on what your audience will want to see, not what you want to show. And we've talked about that. It's not that you want to put pieces in your portfolio because, oh my gosh, I spent so many hours on it. Or, wow, this is absolutely my favorite. You have to put pieces in your portfolio that showcase your skill, that, like we mentioned, have a purpose. So base your content decisions on what your audience wants to see, not what you want to show them. Of course, all your presented work should be organized, labeled, include very clearly labeled sets of links to your work. Show those thumbnails. Have text. We want to see your resume, and many will go straight to your portfolio to view that resume. So you want your resume, number one, to be viewable. You want it to be downloadable. And the question that kind of goes along with this, you can download your resume. Are you going to allow people to download other portions of your portfolio? What kind of content then? What are we talking about? Obviously, your galleries of your design work. And again, depending on what your career goals are going to really steer what your content should be, whether it's video, animations, interactive elements, links to external URLs, external other websites that you've built, your galleries of your design work, logo work, photography, fine art, all of those things. You should include some sort of process information. We've talked about that to showcase your design process. It would be great to show that you have participated or are part of industry-focused blogs. To share some of those resource sharing services. If you have photography up on Flickr, it's okay to share that. Any of those social or professional networking links. You're building a LinkedIn account. Hopefully you have a professional Twitter account. Maybe you've developed a professional Facebook account. So those networking links should be included as well. So the question really is, does the content prove insight to your professional work? And you have to decide, who is that target audience? This will help you to understand, should this be on my site? Am I basing this content correctly? So you want to always base your content decisions on what your audience will want to see, not what you want to show. I'm going to say that over and over and over again because I think it's so important. It's not what you want to show, it's what your audience will want to see. So as far as the big picture here, we want the portfolio to obviously be organized. We mentioned that. It needs to be clean. It needs to be a fast loading site. Don't put huge, ginormous projects out there that we have to wait. Even a half a second is a long time to wait. Base the structure on a grid. Look at those grid structures. Look at the column structures that are out there. If you feel as though you're not creative enough to come up with your own, go out and find one. Okay, so there has to be some sort of structure that portfolio is based on, which then leads into consistency throughout the site. We don't want to go from page to page on your portfolio and have it look like I've left completely and gone to somebody else's. It has to look consistent. You have to think about your typography and the size of the typography. You absolutely have to think about alignments. That's one of the things many graphic designers kind of overlook, but that's probably one of the most important skill sets to show. And if you can show that in your portfolio, obviously that's a huge benefit. Proximity, those Gestalt laws and theories that we've talked about, proximity of images to typography. And then, you want to put your work out in front. The whole purpose of your portfolio is to showcase that work. Make sure that you're using simple text links. We talked about, buttons and interface design a bit. You want to make sure that you're not having huge long strings of text be your links. Keep them simple. And think about, should your portfolio be responsive? Can you do that with the tools that you're using? And of course, that interface design has to be engaging. So all of these things really do tie into one another. And hopefully you're realizing that things that you learned back a year ago in those beginning theory classes of design, the graphic visualization where we talked about design elements and principles, the typography, the color theory, all of those things in your interface design class, they all are now coming together and intertwining to make a really fabulous online portfolio.